This guy, 604 here with my DraftKings Millie Maker lineup preview. I've got Drew Brees slotted in at the quarterback position, playing at home on the turf at Coors Field. It's going to be a shootout. It's going to be ugly for the Carolina defense. It's probably going to be an ugly for the New Orleans defense. That means they're going to keep hucking the ball all over the field. Drew Brees is my number one quarterback play this week. At running back position, I'm paying up at all three spots, including flex. But I am trying to be a bit contrarian by using Ezekiel Elliott as my highest cost running back. Most will have Le'Veon Bell in that spot. Well, I love Le'Veon this week. I'm going to go with Zeke at 7,000. I've got Shady McCoy penciled in my number 2 running back spot at 6,900. He's just a fantastic play this week against an atrocious 49ers defense. In my flex spot, I've put Jordan Howard, 3-down running back, playing against a Jacksonville defense that's more susceptible to the run. He's only 6,200. I still think he's underpriced. I have Howard as a must play this week. I need to be cheap at wide receiver. I'm going to start that off with my favorite cheap play, Cam Meredith. Brian Hoyer loves throwing to the right side of the football field. That's where Cam Meredith plays. I see 8 to 10 targets again this week. I know he's going to be high owned, but I just can't see that as a reason to fade Cam. In GPPs this week, I'm going to have high exposure. Eli Rogers at the stone minimum of 3,000. This play is mostly due to the fact I think Sammy Coates is going to be a late scratch tomorrow morning for the Pittsburgh Steelers. Today they've called up a wide receiver from the practice squad. When teams do that, that quite often means they're expecting a player who's currently on the active roster to have to be scratched. I'm thinking Sammy Coates ends up not playing, thus adding maybe 3 or 4 targets to Eli Rogers' total against an atrocious Miami defense. To pair up Drew Brees, we're going to throw Michael Thomas in there. He's caught a touchdown in his last 2 games playing against this Carolina secondary. Maybe not quite the target volume you might want from a wide receiver, but I see a lot of efficiency from Thomas. I think he gets in the end zone again this week. At tight end, I'm going to game stack, hoping that both the Carolina and New Orleans offenses are going to go off this week. I'm going to throw Greg Olsen in there at 7,000. While I love Delaney at his price point this week, I think Greg Olsen's actually going to be a little bit under-owned because he is the most expensive tight end on the slate. And I'm going to use that to my advantage and get Greg in there and hope for a couple touchdowns from him. I've already talked about Jordan Howard. At the defense position, I started with the Titans defense at 3,300. They're sort of my main go-to defense this week. But by the time I finished filling out the rest of my roster, I had $300 to spend. I paid up to the Seahawks. Good luck this week, and look for my review of this lineup on Monday.